Hello and welcome to the Economy This Week series of Drishti IAS. I am Ritu and today's session is about important economic events which had happened in the past week, and this session is important for your GS-3 perspective. Moving towards the points of discussion part. So first of all, we are going to discuss about the largest debt collector, then we are going to discuss about the RBI report on health, then we are going to discuss about India's job market and state subsidy. So coming to the first topic. So before coming to the first topic, I want to make an important announcement for you. Drishti IAS 𝐏𝐤𝐺𝐻 classes has been shifted to Noida and our new address is C171/2 Block A, Sector 15, Noida, Uttar Pradesh, and this is our dial number 9311406440. So if you have any queries, you can call on to the number, and nearest metro station is Noida Sector 15. And this is the list of the classes. So in Noida, 9 January, English medium classes will begin by 6 p.m. Prayagraj, Jan 2nd, 5:30 p.m. Now we'll come to the discussion part. So largest debt collector. So here we are discussing about a country which has become a largest debt collector. Yes, we are talking about the China. So in the past decade, what we have seen that China has significantly rose when it comes to the debt own, and China has become the biggest debt collector. So here we can see that around 25% of the total world debt is owned by China, and here in this topic we are talking about the bilateral trade and bilateral debt. It means that one to one, that one country has owned from the China or one country had borrowed from the China. So over 25% of the world's bilateral external debt was owned by China, and 2 decades ago the scenario was different. At that point of time, US was in the picture, Japan was into the picture. Right now also Japan is into the picture, but what we can see that US is completely replaced, and we can see that Germany, France, United States, United Kingdom. But right now the scenario has changed. And over the last 2 decades, when China's external lending increased massively, what we can see that China is majorly responsible for the rapid rise in external debt in many countries in last 20 years. So whenever a country is needing any kind of money, China is providing them money. And it sounds very usual to you that if any country is in the need, another country is providing the money. So what's the wrong in it? So it has a negative impact because it is promoting the debt trap diplomacy, because of providing lots of debt to the other countries and another country is unable to pay. So that has created a room for the economic and political loopholes. So this is also one of the alarming situation. So here in this chart, what we can see that earlier the China stake was very low. In 1970, what we have seen that it was nearly 1 or 2%, but right now in 2023, what we have seen that it has become 25%. Similarly, in this graph also we can see that the larger the bubble, the larger the debt is owned by the China. So in the South Asia, we can see that there are the larger than Europe and Central Asia, there is a less. But in sub-Saharan African region, we can see that various countries has got this money from the China. Then Latin America and Caribbean has also few countries. East Asia and Pacific also has a few countries, but they had owned very less amount. But what these pictures are showing, so these pictures are showing that China has progressed, not progressed, but China has owned a lot of money into all over the world, especially in the what you can say sub-Saharan African region. So here we'll come to the next one. So here what we can see that this is the we have taken few examples of the countries in which we can show that there is a problem of debt trap. So in the case of Laos, what we can see that the poorest nation in Asia owned by $6 billion to China in 2023, which was over 75% of its bilateral external debt. And what we can see that the country who has borrowed from the China, so they had borrowed from in a very financially stressed situation, financial crisis situation, and they had borrowed in order to maintain their economic condition. But after taking money from the China, after borrowing from the China, their economic condition had worsened. And why it has worsened? Because they were unable to pay the money with interest, and that's why we can see the inflation, we can see the decline of their currency. So we have similar case of Angola also, and Angola is the second largest oil producer in sub-Saharan Africa, owned $17 billion to the China, which was about 58% of its external debt. In fact, 16 sub-Saharan nations were owe over 50% of their external debt to the China. Recently, we had also witnessed the case of Sri Lanka, Pakistan. So all these countries are part of this debt trap diplomacy, and by Belt and Road initiatives and various initiatives by China, there is a money invested in these countries. And when it comes to their political situation, when it comes to their investments and economic situation, these countries are unable to speak up because they had owned money from the China. Now we'll come to the next one, which is about the health and state. So the share of the medical, health, family welfare and sanitation in total research and development spending by state has received a further boost in 2021-2022. RBI's new study revealed that. And RBI's report State Finances, a study of budgets of 2024 and 5 highlighted that agricultural research was being replaced by growing R&D spends on education, health and sanitation. So a new study shows that we are spending a lot on our health, especially after the pandemic time. But there is a negative loophole that research and development is declining in terms of agriculture, in terms of education. So this in terms of what you can say agriculture. So what we can see that here there is a problem. Because why there is a problem? Because overall we spend around 0.1% on research and development, and that what we can see that agriculture has a less research and development area. And if we do not have research and development facility or infrastructure or ecosystem like that, most of our population is dependent on agriculture, and that will create a lot of problem, because without R&D we cannot implement any plan successfully, so, and will be backward in terms of other countries. So the study analyzed spending 10 states and union territories, and what we have seen that despite shift in spending trends, data shows that states tend to spend only a small proportion of their GDP in R&D, and R&D spending from state accounted just 0.1% of the GDP. So here we can see that states are spending very less, and in that too also what we can see that more than 50% went to the health and very less on agriculture. So agri research has declined from 30% to 20%. Infrastructure, environment and industrial research were all less than 10%, and education rose from less than 10% to 15%. So there is a slight increase in education, there is increase in health and sanitation, but there is decline in agriculture. And when we talk about the infrastructure and environment and industrial research, their investment in R&D is even less than 10%. So this is a very alarming situation, and we need to focus on to these areas, especially on agriculture, especially on infrastructure, environment and industrial thing, because of the pollution is rising. If you do not know the root cause, if you do not have any findings, if you do not have any research, how we are able to plan our future action? Now we'll come to the next one, which is about the state and subsidy. So recently what we have seen that so many states had announced cash benefits to their population, and especially into the election seasons, before the election season. And recently Delhi had also announced, and different political parties had also announced, that if we are voted to the power, we are going to give certain amount of money to the women, certain amount of money to the these section of the population. and that sent, what we have seen that this is a very good initiatives, but we have to also check our financial thing and financial accounts, that by announcing such thing, do we have money to afford such kind of schemes? So we have to see these things. So Indian states need to rationalize this subsidy spending to make way for more productive expenditure. And who has said this? So Reserve Bank of India has said this, that several states has what they had announced, that they will free the electricity to agriculture, households, transport, gas cylinder, cash transfer to the farmers, youth and women. So providing subsidy is never a bad thing, but we need to rationalize these things. We have to first see the economic condition of the state, first see our money and cash strengths, and after that we have to take such kind of the decision. And if we will not do so, then that will create more burden on the states and eventually on the center also, because their borrowings will be rising. So the central bank has warning of elevated levels of state government's debt, and the debt to GDP ratio of states is expected to rise by 28.8% in financial year 2025 from 28.5% in the previous year, which is lower than the pandemic level. In pandemic level it was 31%, but it is higher than the pre-pandemic level. So this is the thing. So in pre-pandemic level it was 26%. So this is a very problematic situation. And following the central strategy outlined in the Union Budget 2024 and 5 states that elevated debt levels may establish a clear, transparent and time-bound glide path for the debt consolidation. So overall, what RBI wants to tell, that announcing subsidy and especially to the needy population is a gentle idea, but we have to also rationalize our debt. We have to also rationalize that we should not increase and we should not fall into any debt trap kind of the situation. So here, before providing any subsidy to any needy section, we have to also think, and we can even give any alternative to them so that they can earn money by themselves. Why we need to provide free money to them? So we have to think into this. Is a very debatable issue, and so many economic experts says that if any state is providing such amount of money to its needy population, it is a very welfare policies, and it shows that how state has this intention of welfare and taking care of every section of the population. On the other hand, few economic experts also suggest that you are making dependent the population. It's better to make your population that kind of able so that they can earn money by themselves. They can be self-reliant. So now we'll come to the another aspect, which is India's job market. So the job is always a point of discussion. So recently a founded platform has published a research, and in that research India's job market is expected to grow by 9% in 2025. So this is a very positive news, because what we have seen that many sectors are compromising and lagging behind in terms of providing jobs. So sectors like information technology, retail, telecommunication, banking, financial service and insurance, so they are expected to rise. Hiring in November 2024 showed that 10% increase in previous year and 3% rise from the previous month. And innovations such as edge computing, quantum applications and advancement in cybersecurity will impact industries like manufacturing, healthcare and IT. So additionally, the growth of retail media networks and AI-driven workforce analytics will influence talent needs in e-commerce, HR and digital services. So these all jobs, what we have here analyzed, that these all jobs are not the what you can say primary job or any job related to direct gig economy. So here there is a office kind of job, and people are expecting that there will be the more rise in the HR services, more rise in AI driven services, computational services. So the IT sector is projected to see 15% increase in hiring, retail hiring expected to grow by 12%, and Bengaluru and Coimbatore are expected to lead city-wise job growth in 2025. And hiring in finance and accounts, HR is set to rise by 8 to 7% respectively. So what all these data shows is, so all these data shows that this is a very positive sign in this sector where IT jobs are rising, computer jobs are rising, and HR jobs are rising, care services are rising, and we can also see that not just IT sector, retail services and different kind of unorganized sector will also rise. So this is the thing, but apart from this thing, we have to also find out that how our primary sectors are working, how the informal sectors are working, because we have to make a significant growth into that direction also, because it is the informal sectors who are the ultimate sufferers of any job loss or any job crisis in the country. So this is also the situation. Now we'll come to the question round. The question is practice question for prelims. Consider the following statement regarding China's economic engagement with other countries. Laos public debt to China constitute approximately 45% of its GDP. In 2017, Sri Lanka handed over the Hambantota port to China due to the difficulties in repaying Chinese loans. The Democratic Republic of Congo owes 88% of its bilateral debt to China. Which of the above statement is correct? 1 and 2 only, 2 and 3 only, 1 and 3 only, 1, 2 and 3. Then we'll come to the next one. According to the Reserve Bank of India's report, State Finances, a study of budget of 2024 and 5, which of the following statement is correct regarding the allocation of research and development spending by states? R&D spending by states accounts 0.1% of the GDP. Nearly half of the R&D spending is allocated to health and increased from 40% in previous years. The proportion of R&D spending on agriculture research has declined from 30% to below 20%. Select the correct answer using the code given below. 1 and 2 only, 2 and 3 only, 1 and 3 only, 1, 2 and 3. You have to answer into the comment section. Then we'll come to the next one. According to a report on India's job market in 2025, founded report, which of the following sector is projected to see the highest hiring growth? IT sector with 15% increase, telecom sector with 11% increase, retail sector with 12% increase, and HR sector with 7% increase. Then we'll come to the last question. Which of the following is correct about subsidies in India? Subsidies are aimed at promoting social welfare, food security and renewable energy. Subsidies are only provided for food security. The government does not provide subsidies for renewable energy. Subsidies are only for economic development. So you have to answer into the comment section, and you have to revise all these topics for your mains examination also in terms of subsidy, that how subsidy can help into the economic growth of the people, how it shows the example of the welfare state, whether providing subsidy is healthy for the state or not. Then you have to also think into the jobs in the secondary sector and services sector, that how we can increase jobs into these sectors, and how we can handle the job loss crisis in the market. Then we had also discussed about the debt trap. We had also discussed about the research and development spending by the states, and it was just 0.1%, which is a very unfortunate in this country, and which is very alarming. And government of India and all the state governments must think into this direction, that how to increase their spending, and they had to increase their spending in all the sector, not just education sector or agriculture sector. They had to increase it into the all sector. And also debt trap diplomacy, that how debt trap diplomacy is dangerous for the world economy. So that's it for today's session. I hope you like this session. If you have any queries related to this session, kindly ask in the comment section. Thank you. Have a nice day.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.